Hi, I'm Greg Lambert from the Geek and Review, and I have with me today Stephanie Wilkins from Legal Technology Hub. And Stephanie, I understand you got a new series that's coming out. Can you tell us more?
We do. It's called The Law Firm Rebooted. And we're taking a look at the emergence of a new business model that we've seen a lot in recent months, which is the AI law firm. Since late 2024, we've seen, 15 to 20 firms launch globally. Sometimes they call themselves an AI firm, an AI first firm, an AI native law firm, but it's all the same concept of this new business model that is disrupting the old way of law firms doing business. And the commonality of all of them is that they place AI at the center of their legal service delivery. And regardless of whether they call themselves AI native or AI first, we're looking at firms that either have AI as part of the client facing output or firms that sit slightly to the side of the traditional partnership model, but all built around using AI at the core of their delivery model. And some of these are AI first boutiques. So you see a lot of different names for them, but we're talking about firms that are not just a traditional law firm with a particularly robust AI function or, an AI committee. We've seen a lot of that. We're really trying to dig into if and how these firms are disrupting the way we've seen law delivered and practiced in the past before. So the series, which we'll be launching this week, is called The Law Firm Rebooted. Nikki Shaver from our team first wrote an article about AI law firms in general and the phenomenon. But then to add on to that, we're going to be sitting down and interviewing a number of these firms one-on-one to really get into the weeds of how they're disrupting the way legal services are structured and delivered. The first interview we have is with Pearson Ferdinand, which is a bit of a unique firm because while some of these AI firms are very small, Pearson Ferdinand, for those who aren't familiar, launched about 2 years ago in January 2024 with 130 founding partners, and they've more than doubled in that size. And their model is a partner only law firm with no associates, but they really have built from the ground up a tech stack and a way of delivering legal services with AI at its core. So it's a really interesting interview, and I think it's a great kickoff to the series, which will interview a lot of the different firms with different perspectives on this new phenomenon. So I hope people really enjoy it. Again, it's called The Law Firm Rebooted, and you'll be able to see all of the entries in it on legaltechnologyhub.com.
Oh, man, that sounds super interesting. So thanks for bringing that to us.
Yeah, thanks. It's been fun. It's fun to talk to these firms and hear what they're doing.
Welcome to the Geek in Review, the podcast focused on innovative and creative ideas in the legal industry. I'm Marlene Gaybauer.
And I'm Greg Lambert.
Well, as you can see, we're doing something different today.
Thought we'd try something new.
It's like I feel like I'm on a talk show right now. So
This might be the way we do it from now on.
yeah, that's true. It's like I like this background actually looks pretty nice. So
Yeah. So
good.
Well, what we decided to do, since we had someone cancel on us, is that you you had just gone to is it Women and AI, Women Plus AI,
Women plus AI.
Women Plus AI in Nashville with our at least 5-time guest.
Oh no, I think it's six now.
I think it's 6. Yeah,
Seven.
six.
I don't even know. I've lost track.
Cat Moon at Vanderbilt. It was fantastic from what I heard. It was fantastic. So we thought we would take some time to talk about that. Marlene could explain to me what all she got to see. And then you also interviewed some people while you were there. And
I did.
We're going to intersperse that within the show today.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, first of all, tell me what's the idea behind the motivation behind women in AI?
So this was something that, Kat and her team started last year. And basically it centered around the fact that there's this narrative out there that women are not using AI as much as men, or they're not involved in AI as much as men. And, her thought was, well, if this is real, it's a problem. And if it's a false narrative, it's also a problem. So let's get together and start talking about this. So unfortunately, I was not able to attend last year, but heard so many wonderful things. I just said, I am going this year. And I did. And it was everything and more.
Okay. And it was at Vanderbilt?
It was at Vanderbilt Law, yes. It was really nice facility, and we had a DJ. I don't think I'm ever going to go to another conference that doesn't have a DJ.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. Like she had done this before. She had playlists, so like everybody got to put in a song that sort of got them pumped up. And
that's good.
you'll appreciate I did the Chain, but it was Nina Diaz's cover.
Oh, I like that.
Yes,
Okay.
it was really good.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so I have access to that if you want to listen.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually had walk-up music for my partner retreat last week. Did I tell you what I played?
No.
I played the Dolly Rots Because I'm Awesome.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I should have put that one in too. Kat, it's not too late.
All right, so talk to me about what's the theme, who was there, how many people were there? Do you have an idea?
Gosh, I don't. I know that it was at capacity, and I know that there were at least 40 people on the wait list.
Oh,
So, yes,
wow.
quite popular. You had to sign up early.
Wow, sounds like she might need a bigger boat next year.
There was discussion about that, and
although having something,
I have mixed feelings about
Yeah.
it, like because I like the fact that it's one day and it's small, and you know, if you want to go, you really got to sign up and go.
Yeah.
And so you have the people there who really are like, I'm going. I want to be there.
Okay.
Nobody's on the fence about it.
All
so
right.
I do like that, but I get it.
Was there a theme this year?
Well, I mean, it was basically this, you know, in terms of I think how does it, like, I think how I would explain it is again, it was sort of dealing with this question and how do we deal with this? You know, how do we become as individuals more, you know, working more with AI, more impactful with AI? How do we teach others that? And, you know, how do we kind of intersperse this into the larger community?
Okay.
And it was centered around these idea called like sparks. And it was like it was a mini, and a maxi spark.
Okay.
You know, after skirts, in case you don't know. And so there were steps along the way that you would you know, talk about questions. Your first mini was, you know, what is really challenging you kind of with AI right now? And then you would talk to somebody about that and they'd help you think deeper. And then, you know, you do something similar with the next person. And then as the summit went on, at the end, you know, came up with sort of your final, like, this is my final takeaway. So that was good.
And you also got to interview some people while you were there. And well, we have a little bit of a break here. Who is up first?
Who should we pick first? Let me see. I'm going to pick our friend Nicole Morris from Emory, who was there.
Hi there. I am Nicole Morris from Emory University in Atlanta, and I'm here at Vanderbilt Law today for Women in AI. Happy to be here on a Saturday. This has been an amazing convening of women all across the country, some in academia, some at law firms, some at vendors, all convening to talk about how AI is being used in their workplace, how they see the tools as helpful, what are the risks and concerns they have, and then how to expand AI knowledge, particularly to women, and how we can do more with it to increase our productivity. So for me, this has been amazing to like see people in live, you know, in person and talk to them and hear how they're doing things in their workspaces, and to see my friend Marlene in person after so many months. Thank you.
Well, now that Nicole has explained that to us,
I was going to say, it's like Nicole basically said it. Like, you didn't even need to hear it from me. And I think that this is a great starting interview, because she really lays it out and sets the stage, and you can really feel the energy coming from her. And I mean, that was how it was with everybody. I think, you know, everybody was so engaged and so positive and so happy to be there and interacting with different people. I mean, it was set up to do that. Like, not only were you going to, you know, see old friends and colleagues, but, you know, you were also the program was set up so that you would meet new people. Even if you're not a person who likes to meet new people. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have these events where people really want to be there. And this is one of those events where I think you really want to be there.
Like, it wasn't like, okay, I have to go here and I have to go here and I have to go here. And you get very distracted. Not that there's not good things about getting a lot of exposure to different things, but this was very concrete. And so we could all focus on it.
Mm-hmm. Was there a keynote speaker?
So what we did with Kat came and introduced everything. And then what we had is we had a number of speakers who did sort of short speakers. Most of the people that I interviewed were speakers on stage, and they talked about different things related to AI. And we'll get into that a little bit with some of the interviews.
Have you ever spoken in front of one of Kat's classes?
Yes.
Did she start off with meditation in the class?
I can't remember if we did, but we did talk about the meditation here. We didn't do an opening meditation for this one. And she specifically mentioned that, but did we do it at closing? We might have done it at closing. And we also had a dance at closing.
Well,
so
there you go.
We started off with a dance, I think, if I remember correctly, as well. So
right.
It's like big high energy.
All right.
Which was good because, she went into some of the statistics before we got into the speakers, which, were rather sobering. And I'm not going to go into all of them, but I'm like looking at one right here. And, maybe we can, with her permission, we could post this slide on the Substack. But they talk about the competence penalties of men who use AI and women who use AI. So, men -6, women -13. So, and then 26% men who didn't use AI themselves penalized women who did. So 26% more harshly than they penalized other men for the same work. And, at the bottom of the slide here, it's like, that's not a gap, that's a trap.
Yeah. Ouch.
Right. So, it's kind of set the stage where these things are out there, and what are we going to do about it?
And just for clarification, the AI penalty, what does that mean?
So this was basically, it was software engineers who were evaluating identical code, and they were only told whether it was written by a man or a woman with or without AI.
Oh,
so
got you. But essentially, it was identical.
It was identical, and they were told one versus the other, and then the reaction to that.
Gotcha.
So,
all right.
But I'm thinking about some of the other stories that maybe we didn't have with interviewing.
Okay. Well,
it comes out.
So, who's next on your interview list?
Who's next on my interview list? I think I'm going to do Saber Tome from Dayton.
Hi, I'm Sabra Tome, and I am from Dayton, Ohio, where I work for the University of Dayton School of Law as the Director of Training Programs and Strategic Business Development, as well as a professor. And today I gave an ACE talk on my personal experience with AI, going from manager to visionary, and how using AI has allowed me to focus on strategy and vision versus just being overwhelmed with the day-to-day tasks. And I am thrilled to be here today with other women who are passionate about AI and teaching other women and how to be empowered with AI. Thank you.
There was one part where she talked about going from, and I can't remember exactly if it was like from management to visionary or, and so when she was talking about that, what was she doing to enable herself to be seen as a visionary?
So I think I'd like the way she framed this, because it wasn't like, AI can be used as a productivity tool, right? But instead of framing it that way, she's framing this as it will allow you to, basically be a leader. It can impact your highest calling. And because what happens, the trap is what happens is, you start getting into these leadership roles, but yet you keep being pulled away, for some of like the day-to-day tasks. As women, often, we do because that is what we're supposed to do, but that doesn't really allow you to kind of focus on the work that's really going to advance you and make you a leader. And what she is saying, that it really transformed her ability to do that, based on the fact that she's using these AI tools to do that. And she's definitely advocating all of that. So I thought it really resonated with me. And I mean, I imagine it resonated with a lot of people in the room, because I'm like, yeah, I know exactly how that feels, where you're pulled in a million different directions, and you're expected to do these things and set up meetings and figure out what happened 2 weeks ago, and write an email about it. And in the meantime, you're trying to think strategically and put a strategic plan together, and it's like, I can't think of all of these things at once. So I was like, yeah, I was like, you go.
Yeah. Well, with her being an academic, is there parallels that happen in law firms and in state court and county, you think?
I think this is pretty much everybody. I mean, I think anybody who's in a leadership role and has, that kind of responsibility, you're going to have this, push-pull type of situation. You're always going to be coming up against that, because
Yeah.
and if you, in particular, I think in some of those instances, like if you don't have staff to delegate,
Mm, yeah.
right? You don't have other people that can do it for you. The AI can do it for you.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything more on Saber? I just want to say the name one last time.
No, I think we're good. I think
All
we're
right.
good.
So you've got some cards here that you got at the conference. Explain to me.
Cards.
One's red, one's white.
Yep.
So what's the difference?
So I mentioned the midi, the mini, midi, and maxi. So this is basically the card that we used. And so the first question is, what are you wrestling with? And of course, you're supposed to write one. And of course, since I can't follow the rules, I had to write 3. And and then the next part is, you find somebody you haven't met, you tell them what it is, they ask you some more probing questions to sort of getting you thinking about that more, and then you jot your thoughts down.
Okay.
And then the midi spark, which is the second thing, is you find a different person and you share what's sparking. And then you start talking about which workshop locations you're going to. So we had 2 sets of workshops, and it was really hard to choose because we had 4 in each one. The second one was easier for me because I was actually facilitating it, so that I had to be there. I did one on AI style guide audit, and then I did one on Core Plus 4 framework for building your AI adoption blueprint, and got stuff. And we went through the exercise there, but of course I never write these things down on the paper because I always want to save them for later. So now I have some lovely templates from our presenters. So they were terrific. And Kat Casey was the one who did the AI style audit.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool.
Anything to cover on either of those?
Yes. So one of the things that I did in one of the sessions, it was for your core for AI literacy, the things you need safe spaces, you need technical safe spaces, and you need learning safe spaces. You need peer learning so that you're learning from and with your peers. You need leadership support. So leadership not only needs to support this, but they need to be doing it, and it needs to be, people need to see that happening.
Yeah.
And then the AI Spark. The AI Spark is who gets the ball rolling. Like, who are your evangelists and sort of getting the word out all the time. So, that was actually a good framework because, I was looking at this in terms of like, who are our sparks, and, what are our safe spaces, and how do we make it more comfortable for people who may not be comfortable, or who, how do we get ideas out to people who may not know that. And I, thought of a couple cool things that different that we're going to try. So
Okay. They talked about safe spaces, and then there was also
it was like technical safe spaces. So I mean, governance, sort of knowing,
yeah.
sort of knowing what you're doing, and then also being able to do this and work on it in a safe way.
I will say
You're
that
not feeling judged.
one of the things that I hear constantly, and it's one of the things that I stress at work, especially when I'm talking with leadership about leadership support, is that when the leaders are actually engaged in using the tools, the AI tools, and are talking about how they're using it, it just causes a huge groundswell for people to go, I need to be using this. And so one of the biggest clues on if you're having success with AI is just how engaged your leadership is.
Right.
And so I know a lot of us think, let's start this from the bottom up. I think we got to kind of like split it. So we focus in on the leadership as well, and really encourage them to take this on and to share their experiences with others. Because again, if an associate sees the senior partners using this, then they're encouraged to use it. If they're not seeing usage coming from their leadership, then they're not encouraged to
Right.
use
Well,
it.
it's just like, do as I say, not as I do. And it's like, you don't want that. And I think this top down, bottom up model works really, really well because everybody learns from everybody.
Yep.
You see what people are doing in the leadership role. You're inspired by that. That inspires you to do new things, and it's a cycle.
Okay. Anything else, or you want to go to the next?
We should go to the next person.
Let's go to the next person. So who's up?
Who's up? Let's do Adele Shannon, who is a student at Vanderbilt.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, you're gonna like this one.
Hi, I'm Adele. I'm a student founder at Vanderbilt, and I'm here today and I give a talk on my perspective on 3 camps of AI experts. And I use a little bit of humor to categorize them to point out the specific background they have and how it might inform their biases.
Yeah, so Adele was great, and she doesn't go into too deeply what she was talking about, but this one also really resonated with me because I've been listening to some podcasts, and there was something that was bothering me about it, and I could not place it. Like I'm like, something is not right, and I don't know what it is. But well, first of all, this was a great quote. She was like, I think she attended South by Southwest, and she said, someone said the adoption of AI is like the 5 stages of grief,
Okay.
which I thought was hysterical. But she broke this into like technocratic oracles.
Technocratic oracles.
Technocratic oracles, the extinct alarmists,
All right.
and the touch-grass humanists. So the touch-grass humanists are like, we're just going to be outsourcing all of our thinking to machines, and we need guardrails.
And I'll be on the beach while my AI agent.
What's going to happen to the economy? Then you have the extinct alarmists, which are sort of the math and sort of PhD sort of folks, and that work in sort of big tech companies, and it's they want you to see it through their lens so that they have an importance.
Okay.
And then the technocratic oracles, are like the new type of tech politicians. So, they're kind of just telling you and you should be listening to them.
Yeah.
Sort of the nice
and attending their webinars and paying for their seminars, and right? No.
But that's what it was. And that's what it was. It's like I was listening. I'm not going to say the podcast, but I was listening to the podcast, and it was all men, and it tends to be all men, and very smart, very powerful. but they're sort of talking about like they know better than everybody else, and they know better, than the people, people who are at very high level but are not necessarily sort of engaged in this type of work. And it's like that's what it was. It's like this is more kind of look at me as opposed to and listen to me as opposed to I'm trying to teach or I'm trying to help,
Right.
So
Yeah. And I think I'll run parallel with that. And there's, something that, especially like on people that are social commentators, they're on news channels, but they're more talking heads, is, as long as they're talking about the issues, I usually am fine with that. But when it's the end of, when they become the story, then, red flags go up. And I think you do see a lot on podcast and otherwise blogs, Substacks, where if you really scratch below the surface, it's, hey, look at me. I'm important on this. And so is that what you were kind of saying?
that's kind of, I think, what she was saying, at least about that particular group of people. And I mean, look,
Hey, look, we're important. You need to, Marlene and I are experts at this.
I mean, I understand that oftentimes these things are a vehicle for business. And so, yes, you have to basically promote yourself as an expert, because if you're using it for your business and to promote your
True.
business, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But I think what she was noticing and what I noticed in this particular example, they weren't promoting their business. They were just promoting themselves as being really, like, we're kind of omnipotent about this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think anybody at this point is omnipotent about what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, that's for sure.
Because I mean, if I'm telling you, man, if they are, then I'm just going to invest in whatever stock they have. So,
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
it was interesting. Like, so top skills to prioritize. This came out of my core framework one. So, turning an idea into a prompt. Explaining the pros and cons to someone, so what it does and doesn't do, and then integrate it into workflows. And I liked these three things. They were, they're I want to say they're basic, but I mean, they're pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I liked about it too is like, if people can do this, then they can talk about it. And I think that's an area where, I think there can be improvement, that, we have to get all of our people talking about this, not just like you or me or people that do this for their job, but, people who are using it, or people who are using it for their clients, to be able to feel comfortable talking about it. Like, this is what I did, or this is what someone did. And this is like, oh, I saw it's like, oh, I see what you did with that prompt, or this is what this particular tool does really well. And this is why we use it that way versus this one, because it has other features. But I'm like, if you can do those three things, you can do that.
Yeah.
I think.
I want to pull on that a little bit with training.
Okay.
So what was talked about, because one of the things that has been on my mind lately, and I'm hoping that maybe it was covered in this, is, I mean, if I could duplicate myself and do one-on-one training, that is obviously the best way, I think, of getting people from zero to one, just getting that start. But that's obviously not doable. So what
Unless
did
you
they
do your AI double? Why do they call it the twins?
Yeah, the AI twin.
AI twin.
So what was covered as far as training? What works, what doesn't?
They talked about some things, and I mean, some of it was what I think many of us who sort of do this for a living sort of know. So I mean, you do in-person training, you do basic training, you do governance training, you do practice related training. You can offer CLE, you can do short bites. I like the idea of show and tell sessions by peers. Like, you're saying if you could duplicate yourself one-on-one is the best, but sometimes I think peer training is actually the best, because if somebody who's your peer is doing this in their practice and your practice is similar, or you can kind of see where the similarities are,
Yeah.
then you're really motivated to learn more about that. So I do like that. I wrote a couple things down. We talked about leadership. So again, sort of hearing more about how leadership does it. So I think hearing more and more about other people using it. And I mean, if you have social channels where you can have people talking about it on those social channels, I think that's a great idea.
Mhm.
And because you learn, from others' questions or from others' experiences, and it's not a heavy lift.
Okay. All right. So our penultimate speaker here is.
I think we're gonna do the next one is it's a twofer. So it's Chanel Nuss McCain and Diana Leary from Suffolk Law School.
All right.
Hi, my name is Chanel Nuss McCain from Suffolk University Law School in Boston.
And I'm Diana Leary, also at Suffolk University Law School. Chanel and I both teach the first year legal practice skills class, and like so many other law professors, have been thinking about whether, how, when, if to incorporate AI into our skills instructions for today's students.
And so today we discussed how we don't have to look at the human skills and the AI skills as these kind of bifurcated pathways, and how when you really get down to the substance of both, we need both to be coexisting together at this time, so that as lawyers, we can lead in how this technology will be adopted by our education institutions and by our profession.
A lot of courses seem to kind of stuff AI into a 2-week module and then do away with it, or stuff human counseling into a 2-week module and then do away with it. So something we tried to think about were exercises we both did that were able to do both, kind of both sides of the coin. So my exercise had students work with actual AI tools, but then only discuss them through the lens of traditional lawyering skills like judgment and ethics, and critical thought, to kind of shape the students that they weren't just using a tool, they had to think about it from a more human point of view.
Yeah, and my exercise, I built a kind of client, video chatting client that the students counseled on a legal problem that they had. And they were able to kind of, in a low stakes environment, really see what it's like to prepare for and to come up with, some kind of strategy for client counseling, and to have real time dynamic responses, because the models are really, capable of doing some really helpful things in the classroom.
Oh, that sounds cool. So if I understand right, Chanel had created a video AI interface that the students work with to simulate an actual client.
Exactly. And so working within the technology, but using really human skills in counseling.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm, my brain is spinning up ideas to do that at work now.
Yeah. It's like, I'd love to pick her brains. Like, how did you make it, and how long did it take? And how long did it take? Because I've seen these types of tools on the market, and we've talked to people who have actually created them.
Yeah.
These simulator tools, but she made one.
Interesting. And Diane, then also, I like the idea of, yes, you can use the tools, but when we talk about the tools, it can only be from the point of view of lawyering, of
Right.
the concepts that are needed in actually lawyering, not just in using.
So
the
you may have
technology.
gotten the information that you were using, but you had to discuss it, in this framework as an attorney.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, good. Like I've been saying for many episodes now, I still think the academic environment is the absolute best place to expose students to the AI, because in the Socratic method, you still got to stand up and give your own interpretation of the the Iraq view of things. I'm not even sure if they still do that. We did that last century.
Still do it.
But it just sounds, or it just feels like that is a place to give them the best and safest exposure to it, so that they know what the tools can do, what the tools can't do, and being able to blend that humanist and AI tools together.
All right. So I'll talk a little bit about like the session that I facilitated, which was at the end of the day, and it was basically called Playbook.
So you were between the attendees and the DJ.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. before the end of the day. And believe me, everybody kind of started pouring in at the end. So, but we got through it on time.
Awesome.
What my session was called Playbook. And so it was coming up with sort of practical ways to sort of build your knowledge of AI, and then how to spread knowledge of AI and use of AI. So we went through a design workshop exercise where, people wrote down their ideas and then met, in small groups and sort of narrowed those things down. And then we put them all up on the board and, sort of, consolidated them a little bit from this particular workshop. And there were 4. So it was playbook, principles, questions, and stories. And from all these things, we're going to take the end results, and there's actually going to be additional work that comes out of that. So, I mean, if there's people that want to be involved in sort of working in these different areas, there's going to be plenty of opportunity to do that. And before we get to the last interview, I want to talk about the principles maxi Spark workshop. So that team read out their, we shared our board with everybody, and but that group, basically their spokesperson read the principles, which were amazing. And I'm sorry, I do not have them in front of me. I looked, but if you need to find them,
well, we're going to have Anastasia on the podcast coming up. So.
Anastasia Boyko sent them out, and so it's on LinkedIn. If you look under her name, it's there. But again, there's going to be lots of opportunity for people to get involved with more work in this area.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
Although I'm never all that thrilled when I go to a conference and then there's still work to do afterwards. But
you don't like homework?
I don't like homework.
Homework, it's like you can't do all of it in one day. You can get fired up, and you can
that's true.
start the wheels turning, but the hard work continues after that.
Yeah, and that was just one. It just was a one-day conference. So.
It was.
All right. So who's our last?
Our last person is Stephanie Everett from Lawyerist, who is one of the sponsors of the program.
Well, thanks to all the sponsors for the program.
Thank you to all the sponsors for the program.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Everett with Lawyerist, where we help law firms build healthier businesses and implement technology. And this morning, I had the honor and privilege of giving one of the ACE talks here at the Women in AI Summit. I talked about the power of stories, and I actually shared a personal story from when I went to a fortune teller who gave me some not so great predictions about my life, and how I didn't realize it, but I had started internalizing that story and allowing it to live in the back of my head and even make decisions about my life. And it wasn't until I realized that and stopped it and created space for something different that the story showed up differently for me. And I think that's what we're doing here today at the summit. It's an amazing energy, women coming together and talking about what do we want our stories to be? How are we going to leverage AI, and how are we going to drive our profession forward? So it's a super exciting day, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
So I thought Stephanie's was a great one to end on.
Mm-hmm.
Her story that she told was great. I'm not going to tell it. That's her story to tell. But if you ever meet her, great story. And, my takeaways from this were, you don't have to live the stories that you're told. You can question those stories. So, if you're sort of hearing like these statistics are saying that it's like, all right, well, you can't do this or you're not part of this. Like, that's the story is not necessarily the danger. Like the danger is you listening to it and believing it and internalizing it. And she's kind of questioning, like, what story are you telling yourself? And once you start telling yourself the right story, things change around.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was really interesting because listening to her talk about the fortune teller and, allowing other people to set the narrative, to tell your story for you, versus you setting the narrative and for yourself and uh, telling your own story. I mean, it's, I think we all do it, but I can see where something like that would really have, a psychological effect on you if you're not careful and you let other people kind of dictate that narrative. So, yeah, I think that's a great way to end the videos. Let me ask you this: what did you think about on the plane ride home?
Well, I think, some of my takeaways were, again, how do I better use AI to allow me to kind of be the best leader that I can be? And, very practical. There was a presenter, Natalie Dis, Natalie Cheshire. Sorry, I hope I didn't get it wrong, from Harbor Global. And she was talking about the power of poetry, but what I took away from that was the power to be quiet and to just sort of sit in quietness and not sort of get so wrapped up in all of the hubbub that is going on around you. Take some time to step back and allow yourself to think, because it's way too easy not to.
Yeah.
And then the last thing was from Stephanie, that you have the power to write your own story, and you have to create your narrative, and you don't have to listen to a narrative if it doesn't resonate with you or if it's not working for you. And to, again, I guess it's be true to yourself.
Mm. Well, it sounds like it was very enjoyable. It sounds like you learned a lot. I'm curious, was there something that was not presented, but just the way it was organized here that you would like to see at other conferences that may have a broader audience?
Mm-hmm. I liked how this was broken up. And I did tell Kat this at the end, that, you go to conferences, and all conferences are good, but like there are usually some points in the day where you might get a little bored.
Mm.
I basically started this thing at 9 a.m, and then 5 p.m. I'm like, how did that happen? like that's the mark of a really good conference. It just went, and like you weren't even thinking that, oh, I'm at a conference. Like you're just engaged the whole time. And I think a lot of it was the way she structured it. So, you had a lot of music, you had a lot of high energy, you had her talking, about the facts, sort of setting the stage. You had all of the different presenters that were presenting on sort of different things. And there was, there was a contest for that. Like you had to like put an idea out there, and then they kind of voted on who got to present. So, there was definitely a vetting of that. So I think there was really high quality. They were all short, so things kept moving. And then you had these breaks with the Spark cards and the Spark exercises. And then you went to, and then, you had, lovely lunch, did more networking, more speaking. And then you had these different workshops you could choose from. Then, did that for a bit. So you kind of had the workshop component, and then you had these, final kind of breakout workshops, and where everybody was kind of working together.
Sounds like a lot of engagement.
A lot of engagement, but different types.
Yeah.
And it was, it was sort of mixing up the whole thing. So yeah, I thought it was terrific.
Awesome. Well, thanks to our 6 people who took the time to let you shoot the video there. and to Cap Moon for hosting and for all the sponsors. For
And all the people who worked on the conference.
Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. That is yeoman's work.
Good work.
Yeah, well done, well done. So thank you all, and thank you, Marlene, for sharing your insights and experience with us.
Well, it was a lot of fun, and I hope the word gets out to more people about just how great this was.
Yeah, although the word should be when registration opens, get in there fast.
Get in there. And thanks to all of you, our listeners, for taking the time to listen to the Geek and Review podcast. If you enjoy the show, share it with a colleague. We'd love to hear from you, and so reach out to us on LinkedIn. And what else?
And Substack.
And Substack.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing my story on Substack.
Yes.
So,
I
I
hope everybody has been following the Substack story.
All right. Well, take care. Thanks.
All right. Bye.